Hey everybody. So I'm trying to get in the habit of doing shorter videos because y'all know I can be very content information heavy because I'm just nerdy like that. But I just wanted to speak on this recurring comment that I get, and not specifically just from this person, but just in general. And it normally says something along the lines of this: no such thing as a light skinned monoracial person. All light skinned people are mixed. Like I said in my Hooked on Phonics video, a lot of us LSMs are MGM, which I technically am. But because I grew up monocultural and have no association to the people who contributed to my watered downness, I've only ever met Black identifying family members. So I'm monoracial. But this makes me think about the almost contradictory narratives that's often put on light skinned monoracials. You have on one hand people throwing us out of blackness and into mixedness by saying things like this, right? So you're telling me, okay, you could never just be monoracial, right? And then you have, on the other hand, people saying, well, you're just black in a way that's almost trying to demean our admixture. And also just saying like, oh, well, you're average because Black Americans, all Black Americans have admixture, which that's not true, but let's assume that it is. We're still fully aware that it doesn't necessarily show up in every Black person's phenotype. And this is what makes biology so interesting to me because my unambiguous dark skinned dad and brother both have more admixture than I do. I think the admixture is obvious in traits like their hair, especially if they don't cut it short. And it's so random because me and my brother were having this conversation one day, but he mentioned that he had like silky leg hairs, and I was like, "Oh snap!" I thought I was the only one with silky ass body hair, but that's super random. But I just wanted to point out that admixture can manifest in ways that aren't super apparent as well. But it could also, still pass down to your children because my niece, who's also dark skinned, very beautiful, like deep, rich color, has the same hair texture and smaller features. So I would still consider her exotical. Genes are gonna do what they do. Like my caramel colored niece does, she has more like 4B texture hair. So it's flip flop. You never know what you get, especially in my family. Like it's literally a genetic lottery. It's really kind of a complex thing being a light skinned monoracial person because I have this genetic occurrence that happens where I photo bleach, kind of like this guy.
This is all from the sun. I lived in Florida for most of my lock journey up to this point, so just naturally my hair changed colors. It's really crazy what nature can do.
And on 23andMe, a study says that this trait is commonly found in European ancestry. Um, and it's just kind of one of those things where you have to mentally be solid in your blackness. And it's usually not that difficult when you grew up monocultural. But the thing about me is that I don't refuse to embrace my admixture because it makes me who I am. Like, obviously, I'm going to make sure I'm not going crazy when I notice my hair getting lighter in the sun. And I'm going to try to understand why. So I'm not going to deny that I have European ancestry, right? I mean, if you chop off 15% of me, that's a handicap. So it does matter, but I don't consider myself mixed colloquially. Therefore, I am a light skinned monoracial because race is a construct that can be reinforced by your culture. Hence, things like the one drop rule. That's a cultural slash systemic concept. That has nothing to do with someone's actual DNA makeup. But the thing is, I'm not going to pretend my admixture doesn't matter to make someone else feel more comfy in their blackness. But regardless of what people may think, me saying that I'm exotical because my admixture is also not me saying that I'm better. It may be what a lot of hierarchy thinking mixed people, that might be the undertone of what they're saying. Like, oh, you're not white enough. But, I mean, that's just weirdo shit. But, anyways, I'm obviously not saying that I'm better. I'm just saying that people have called out my ambiguity or the traits that aren't as common among the group. Because although I don't have a situation where I feel directly connected to the ancestors that contributed to why I do things like photo bleach or whoever gave me the phenotype. So now when I'm traveling, especially in places like Asia, people will stop me and ask me, do I have a Hawaiian parent or am I Tongan? And I always thought it was random and specific that people would say that to me because my mom used to always say that to me. Oh, like she's like, oh, you're my Hawaiian child. And I had to look them up and I was like, yeah, it's giving cousin. Is that you? Because I'm like, it's kind of uncanny. And then I have a whole side of family that I mentioned in my intro video who looks Fijian, to some degree. And then you have people who may think I look like a regular, degular, pretty black girl. And that's fine because that's what I am. But they also probably don't get out much. But I'm also very comfortable with just being black, you know? So light skinned monoracials do exist as long as we decide to identify like so. And monoracial, when I say monoracial, I'm referring to the more of the types of couples in my most recent ancestry versus my actual genotype. Okay, so two black identifying parents, that's a monoracial couple. Four black identifying grandparents, that's two monoracial couples. Eight black identifying great grandparents, that's four monoracial couples, and so on and so forth. Emphasis on black identifying, because I think all but one of my eight great grandparents were exotical. And even he and his mom looked, you know, a little bit different like this. Like, it's actually kind of weird because my great grandfather really looked just like this man. So how they identified didn't change the genes that were actually handed down. I think saying light skinned monoracial for me kind of takes away people trying to oversimplify by saying I'm just black, but also make it more complex by just saying I'm mixed. But it's like, no, hey, obviously you can visibly see that something else might be there, but also, right, I'm just black. So it's just kind of like, hey, this is a simplified way of just saying, okay, I have admixture. It just so happens to show up in my phenotype. That's literally all it is. And my main point is this is why you should identify yourself and stand on that shit, because people will never be satisfied. Like I said before, being the golden skinned middle children caught in between the anti-black tango of unambiguous black people and mixed black people can feel a lot like a perpetual mindfuck, and you're just constantly hearing conflicting narratives. On one hand, we're unambiguous, but we should also feel like we can't be proper representation for unambiguous black women. But also, if my phenotype is so average and quote unquote common, why wouldn't I be or shouldn't I be able to represent unambiguous black women? However, are we going to sit here and pretend like I have this exact same experience as you? No, I don't. Like, we know I don't. Remember, saying my experience is different is not saying my experience is necessarily better, but at the same time, just let's not play pretend. Like, we don't have to be disingenuous in order for us all to live and be authentically ourselves, right? That's not something that has to happen. Clearly, light skin is not that common as they'll have you believe, because people are constantly telling me that there's no such thing as a light skin monoracial. So essentially kicking me out of non-ambiguity. But they're not telling people like my brother, who's unambiguous and has admixture, that he's mixed. So what does that mean? That regardless of the lie that some people like to tell, light skin does lead to some degree of ambiguity. And coming from both sides of the bigoted ass hierarchy thinking scale is a notion that I shouldn't feel privileged because I'm not white passing. And it's like, bitch, you look like I can, no. Because I don't center whiteness, because I do not internalize bigotry. And I know that's hard to understand in our white supremacist society, but it's like, okay, there are billions of people who aren't black or white enjoying their lives every day. Why should I prioritize whiteness? And if unambiguous black people decide that they don't want to give me privilege for whatever reason, right? Because, you know, they try to withhold it sometimes, you know, to prove a point, and that's fine. I don't need to prioritize black culture either, because I can access just as much privilege elsewhere outside of our community while still reaping the benefits of my blackness, because I'm pretty. I've done it before, and I'll do it again and again and again. So that's all for this video. If you like the video, please hit the thumbs up and be sure to subscribe if you like my vibes. And I'll see you next time. Bye.